What's up, people of the world? My name's Carpo, or Josh, if you will, and I'm asking the question of what is happiness? And the question has many different angles to it, many facets, and has been proposed many times by many different people. The idea that I would like to convey is that happiness is fleeting. And I think we all know that. Happiness comes and goes. It comes at the most unlikely times and never comes when we expect it to. Happiness doesn't come on demand, nor can it be continued for long periods of time, for one reason. For there could be a spurt of happiness with many different events, such as a vacation. You go to places, you see the places, you see the world around you. Wow, it's amazing. You go to theme parks, you go on boats, but eventually you want to go home. Then home brings happiness, more than it ever did before. If you think about that for a minute, with that just very idea right there, that vacation brings happiness, but you get tired of it, and then home brings happiness, shows that no one thing carries the label of being happy with it. People understand the happiness that comes from buying something that's new, and just as much people understand the happiness, how the happiness fades before you even get it out of the car. As soon as you throw it in the back seat. Some people have cars full of stuff because they buy things and just never take them out because they're just so addicted to shopping and the feeling it gives them. They think it's happiness, and it is to an extent. But as much as we'd like to think that happiness is just brain chemistry, and to an extent it is. We have dopamine and serotonin, which are released by certain activities. The feeling that you get from seeing someone you love, or being somewhere and doing something with some people that you are really good friends with, those feelings can't be duplicated. They can't be summoned on command. That type of happiness has to be experienced. So you have to go through an experience. You can't just sit at home and say, I want to be happy. And I think likewise people realize that anyone who desires happiness is going to attain suffering to the same degree that they acquire the happiness. In other words, that happiness has to be contrasted by misery or some sort of hardship. That's what makes the happiness. It's not a continual process. It's something that comes with failures and then succeeding. The success or failure is intertwined and inseparable. The two are intertwined completely. So those who believe that they can be happy all the time, or rather the only person that could be happy all the time, as one guy put it, is an idiot. Because only an idiot could ignore what's going on in the world, what's going on in their own lives, the things that happen to them, the things that happen to those they love, the misery of a bird hitting the window and dying in the backyard. Anyone who thinks that they will never entertain sadness, or that they can attain eternal happiness, is an idiot. And there are plenty of idiots that are, mentally retarded. Folks often can't process emotion that way, and that's why we say ignorance is bliss. But of course those of us know better. Knowledge is the key. But with knowledge comes ignorance, just like in the same way. With happiness comes pain. With knowledge comes ignorance. You have to go through many processes. So when you have this, pains in your life, you know that it's going to be followed by a happiness, at least in contrast to the pain that you're experiencing now. And I think that is really important to remember, because no matter how bad it is right now, it's going to get better. can't guarantee that. And for each individual, some may get worse. There are folks who are dying. There are folks out there who have debilitating conditions. Actually, speaking of which, I can't even move my wrist. I don't know what's wrong with it. It just started hurting really bad, probably from moving, too much motion at work and twisted. I think I pulled a muscle. It hurts in the wrist there, and then I've got my back pain. I can barely stand up. All these things that happen to me, my shoulder problems. I'm falling apart, but you know what? I keep that level-headedness. That's what keeps me happy, is remembering that there have been times when I've hurt much worse, times when I've felt much worse. And so what brings me happiness now is remembering times when I didn't have the health I have now, or times when I didn't have the family unit that I have now, the kids that I have, the wonders of a great loving family that I can come home to. And that's what brings me happiness, the love of a family. But you know what? Let me check the time on this. After I've been home for a while, that love of the family, all of a sudden, okay, I have a love of work again. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's no shame. Sometimes as soon as I get to work, I want to come home instantly. And, that's the process, the cycle. Of course, I don't really ever want to go to work. I'd much rather stay home with my family all the time. I guess maybe it's just me fooling myself into thinking I have to go to work, or that I want to go to work, rather. But we have not only emotions, but we have all these different things that we go through. We do have sadness to bring happiness, but in between we also have all these other things. We have guilt, we have animosity, we have jealousy, we have greed, selfishness. And we have love, we have passions, we have desire. All these different things, I think, should be explored by the human. I think that we're here to explore all these different things, all these different facets. Now, I started out talking about happiness because happiness cannot be explained. Science is trying to say, this is a state of emotion because of this. And that always makes sense. They can say, this is a human body and this is how it works. But no one can explain why it works. And that's the one question I keep asking myself. Why do things work? Why do things evolve? Not how. Because the how process is irrelevant. The how process is the nuts and bolts of the big picture, which is that there's something driving this craziness around us, and if it is all by chance, then it's perfectly... If the universe was a random chance creation, then by its very essence, it is alive. Even if it has no consciousness as we know it, the universe has to be alive because we are alive, and it's the macro and micro world. The cells have components within our bodies. We have cells that create our bodies. Our bodies create this organism on top of the earth, just this little thin surface where all of us live. And likewise, the universe is its own atomic structure, its own creation. So this consciousness, this has brought us to this point. Doesn't matter why. It just matters that it happened. And here we are. And we have these emotions, and they were given to us. And through all this technical these chemical processes within our brains, we can't explain why we're happy. We don't understand. We can say these chemicals flow, but we can't say why they flow. What creates happiness? It could be an evolutionary drive to keep people moving forward. It doesn't matter. We can speculate on it all day. The point is that we are happy, and we have all these other emotions that we also need to embrace. Things like, pride is a good one. People say pride comes before the fall, and that pride is bad. Pride is often associated with ego. But have you ever done something that you're really proud of and been congratulated on it? Often the people who say that pride is so bad are the ones who don't feel like they've ever really accomplished much. And I don't mean that harshly, but when you look at it from the right perspective, pride is what's driven society to want to create so much magnificence. Not the